This is picking up from part one and just a few more slides about healthy relationships. And part of how you have a good relationship is how you express yourself. And as you look at an aggressive versus assertive versus passive, we have primarily three ways of how we express ourselves. Passive is when you kind of recoil. Assertive is when you stand up for yourself and you're honest. Aggressive is when you might be perceived as a bully because you lean in and you don't respect another person. And there are body language, the way, and here's an example, name that body language. So if you realize a person can't control how you feel, that is assertive. When you avoid eye contact, fidget, slouch, hide, that's passive. When you're glaring, when you have a tight jaw, clenched fist, and angry, that's aggressiveness. And so knowing how you present yourself, how you express yourself, is going to be part of the healthy relationships. Not calling a person names or belittling, but still standing up for yourself. That's assertiveness. It's like, no, this is not okay. That's how we want to project ourselves for a healthy relationship. It's not based on anything. It's based on respect for your friend, your partner, and also respect for yourself, and it's honest. You're always communicating to the world by how you act and how you present yourself. And so when you present yourself in a healthy way, it doesn't mean that doing what you think others expect of you, right? So acting with integrity means that you're not deceitful. It means that you're true, you develop trust, you are honest. And honestly, when most people ask, what are you looking for in a relationship? Honesty is one of the key components that comes along with describing by most individuals. And when we are true to ourselves and not deceitful and act with integrity, that is bringing that honesty to the relationship. As we develop uh, uh, confidence in ourselves, developing interests and talents really help to bring a sense of contentment in that we don't need to outdo somebody else, or we don't need to updo someone else, or we don't need to be better than someone else. That when you have develop your own self and you're on that path of developing yourself, you're doing the best that you can do, and that is important with becoming confident in yourself. It's always interesting to me how somebody says, I don't have any hobbies or anything that I like to do. I just like to work. I think, oh man, develop that other side of who you are. You're so much more than just your job. And also taking that 5 minutes, I know each module we're looking at a 5 minute breath activity. You can also just go in nature and sit outside for 5 minutes with maybe a beverage, a coffee, a tea, whatever your beverage of choice is, and just sit outside and feel the air, hear the sounds, and just be present. That can have a dramatic impact on your confidence and your health. Relationships are something that we have throughout our lifetime, we hope, because loneliness does not foster happiness. Loneliness does not foster development of confidence, right? So most of the long-term relationships research has been done on married couples, but there are benefits that can be um, probably that can be experienced to any close relationship, such as someone who is a good friend, a parent, or a partner. And social isolation is linked to higher rates of depression. And anxiety in a relationship can lead to being suspicious, impulsive, and needy. So when we look at this list of what a good love and health connection in a relationship over a long period of time, we see that we have so much to gain. Less hostility in our relationship increases the likelihood that we're going to be healthier. Hostility is associated with illness and chronic diseases at a younger age. We have greater trust, more health, longer life. And the key is to feel connected and respected and valued and feel a sense of belonging. And so these components of this long relationship that has the connection, respect, and value can have numerous health benefits. So that friend, maintaining that good friendship from elementary school or having a good friend that you can confide in is so valuable. Intimacy is also an important part of a good relationship, and it has to do with having frequent communication, trust that you know that you've got, if you confide, that it will be held, that you feel like you're not having to prove yourself. Intimate relationships are a closeness. It's not just having a sexual relationship. It is that closeness. And when somebody has sexual intimacy that incorporates those good components of emotional support, relating, trust, that's that kind of compassionate component of sexual intimacy. That is that deeper sense of connection. Passion is just that sexual attraction that can lead to intimacy of the moment. We want to maintain that passion throughout a relationship, though. We can't expect our sexual partner to give us everything. Our best friend, our confidant, our person that makes us happy. That is lending too much onto one person. To maintain that passion in your relationship, you want to have intimate, um, intimate relationships in your own personal life. You want to have compassion. You want to develop that compassion, affection, and trust for that other individual. And then you can develop and maintain that passionate relationship. So there's not a full, everything, you owe me everything. We have to work to keep that passion in our relationships. Hopefully that makes sense. Why is loneliness a problem? Well, many of us are perfectly happy and have strong connections and can be alone. Loneliness does not mean, being alone does not equate loneliness. Some individuals can be perfectly fine living by themselves. Other individuals have difficulty. And when you have this lack of connection, and a feeling of isolation, it can lead to despair, depression, and illness. And so being alone, especially when you're quarantined for a period of time, we still can have a good quality of our connections. It doesn't have to be how many people, but a small handful of people that you can connect with really helps to push that loneliness aside. And it's something that you want to develop and feed and work for. It doesn't just come without any effort. Uh, with responsibility, we have to change. We change. I don't want to say we have to. Um, when we look at the responsibility in a relationship, when we avoid responsibility, relationships suffer because it becomes, it no longer is a genuine and honest involvement. When somebody is avoiding responsibility, they might say, I had no choice. That was out of my control. If you do, then I will. It's just the way I am. Oh, I have said that one with my daughter. I have said that one with my daughter. And I had to stop and think about, like, is it just the way I am? Or I have a choice how I respond. I have a choice how I um, handle my issues that I'm having, or my frustration. So figure out, when you have that thing, it's just how I am. Own how you feel. Don't blame people for making you feel that certain way. No one can make you feel guilty, sad, etc. A lot of times it's based upon previous experience. It's based upon something that has happened before. A person in your former relationships, in a former relationship, treated you a certain way, and so you naturally respond like, I don't have a choice. This is just how it is. Uh, if somebody is making you feel guilty and saying you should feel this, you should feel that, that's a check. Pay attention to that. That person, you're the only person that is in charge of your emotions and how you feel. You are responsible for your own self. And being accountable to yourself and taking responsibility is the best way of having a meaningful relationship. When somebody takes responsibility, like, I'm so sorry that I said those things. I was feeling frustrated and angry, and I said those hurtful statements, and I just am really sorry about that. Can go a long way. So in summary, we want to have long-term relationships. We want to develop meaningful relationships that are going to stay. I have my best friend I've had for 20 years, and she lives a block away from me. I'm working on a new relationship with a colleague who is leaving Western, and now she's going to work for Cornell. She lives in Battle Creek, and we just texted this morning, and I said, I don't want to lose this friendship. I really we have so many things in common. And so I said, it's going to take effort, but we're going to do this, right? So strive for those long-term relationships. They can start at any time in your life. We can learn to be positive. We don't have to feel helpless, and that we have traits that can improve our immune system, like being assertive, not aggressive, um, paying attention to how we feel, and to find those passions that and joy in your life. So, so important. And know that when you give, and you'll find this as you do your gratitude journals, that as we share, as we give, as we pay close attention to what's good in our lives, we can find that our relationships benefit, and that we can feel greater happiness in ourselves, greater peace in ourselves, and ultimately have better relationships with others. It would be important for me to not it's important to identify abusive relationships, and here are some warning signs: jealousy, pressures on what you wear, say, do, humiliating another if you're feeling humiliated, um, getting, please don't leave me, I'm going to hurt myself if you do. That is an unhealthy relationship. Never assume that a person can just leave. Leaving may not be the safest way out. And so it's real easy to say, why didn't so-and-so just leave their relationship? And they went through all those, all of that trouble. Notice on here I don't say, a warning sign could be physical abuse as well. That's that's the most obvious. The most obvious is somebody gets hit. But there are other warning signs to be aware of and pay close attention. There is help at Syndicuse for individuals that are struggling with this. And I want to encourage you to seek help. If you see somebody who's in an abusive relationship or what you perceive as an abusive relationship, or you yourself are in a relationship that is not positive and flourishing. And finally, when we communicating with others, we want to pay attention to how we speak and how we resolve conflict and be respectful. We want to give people time to speak. We want to give people an opportunity to complete what they're saying, and we don't want to say, well, this is what I did, or this is my experience. Keep your own self out of it and be a good listener. Listen, listen, listen. When we have conflict, we want to make sure that we want to use the actions and not accuse a person. We want to use the facts. So there's some work that you can do with Syndicuse with that as well. And also always treat your partner, your friendship, your parent, your colleague with mutual respect. When you do that, you will find that you as a person will develop, flourish, and be happier.